Okay, so I've got both my web server on and I've got my development machine on. I've got the same IP address, and if I go over and take a look, I've got my development machine. We left off with the loops. So what I want to do is I want to create a countdown timer. That's my goal for this next project. And I've got a goal. I want to go to Burning Man, and I want to go to Burning Man the year 2020. All right, so I got to be there. So I'm going to make a countdown clock that's going to count down every second, every minute, every hour, every day that elapses from now until the time I leave. So I'm going to start by just creating a folder. And I'm just going to call it clock. And then inside the clock folder, I am going to create a new file. Oh, a new PHP file. And I am going to call it countdown. .php. Okay, so I'm going to just get rid of this, and I am going to do that. Okay, so there's a couple ways we can do comments within PHP. I just deleted one way, and that's the block style. That's the /, and then I can go down, and then I could do a description. This is a countdown. Timer. All right, so let's just say Burning Man 2020. Burning Man's usually August. It's later August, so I would guess it's going to probably be the 25th. It's going to be the starting day of 2020. All right, so we're going to count down till this event. So what I'm going to do is I need to set up some variables. So I'm going to start out by creating some variables that we can use that are going to be constants. And I'm going to start with a $. And I think it's best just to say I want to know like how many seconds are in a minute, how many seconds are in an hour, how many seconds are in a day, how many seconds are in a year. So I'm just going to set those up. Now you could go like seconds per hour and then seconds per day, but this actually isn't the best naming convention for a variable, all right? Because 2 years from now, when I'm looking at this code, I'm going to be like, what is SPH? You know, is that the secretary's phone number? I mean, you just don't know. So it's usually best to have some naming convention, some way of doing it. So I'm going to use camel case, and I'm going to go SEC, then a capital PER, and then a capital seconds per minute. MIN. Seconds per minute. And there are 60 seconds in a minute. Now, I could have just typed in 60 in the code, and that would be pretty straightforward. But if you just start seeing random numbers throughout your code, it becomes kind of convoluted and it's hard to really read the code. At least when I'm looking at this, I get what I'm trying to do. Okay, so I want to get seconds per hour. Okay, so there is 60 seconds in an hour. So I'm just going to multiply 60 seconds in an hour by however many seconds are in a minute. There's 60 minutes in an hour, and there's 60 seconds per minute. So even by just doing this, it adds a little bit more readability. I could have did 60 times 60, but now I know, okay, I've got 60 minutes in an hour, and I'm multiplying that however many seconds are in a minute. All right, so now I want to go seconds per day. And there's 24 hours in a day, and I am going to multiply that by my seconds per hour. Okay, so I'm spanning multiple years, so I want to know how many seconds are actually in a year. And I'm guessing that's going to be a pretty big number. Okay, so a year is 365 days. I'm not going to take an account for a leap year. I think that would be like a 0.5, I don't know. Not going to worry about it. As long as I get close, I'll be happy. All right, so seconds per year. Seconds per day. Okay, so I think I've got my constant variable set up. Sometimes people use all caps for constants, just so that way you know that this is just a variable that's being used to hold a number. But now I want to play around a little bit with this date object. My date object is gonna be my current date. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just going to create a variable, and I'm gonna call it now. And now is going to be the current date time. All right, so, and I'm just going to go time. And then I'm going to save this. I'm assuming that it went. I actually closed my left-hand pane. If I wanted it back, I could do spacebar, spacebar. No, shift, shift, and then remote. Server, remote host. And then that pops back in. So it's going to refresh this, see if that's over there. Okay, so when I refreshed it, I see the clock variable, or the clock folder, and then my countdown. So I just want to maximize my real estate, so I'm just going to collapse this. Okay, so what I want to do is I want to pull in my existing website. So in my includes folder, I've got my template. I'm just going to select all of this. I'm going to copy it. And then right below my closing PHP tag, I'm just going to paste this in here. So I can do PHP outside of the HTML. So all of this will happen before any of this gets rendered down to the client. So within my main tag, I just want to print now out. So I'm going to just do an inline PHP tag, which is really handy. So what I did is a less than, question mark, equal sign, and then I can put a variable, and then I can put my question mark greater than. And what this does is it like jumps into PHP, and then it prints the value of this variable out to the screen. So it's just a shortcut way of getting some variables to be displayed. And we're going to do this often. Okay, so I've got clock, and then I've got countdown.php. So I'm going to come over here, and I'm going to get out of the loops. I'm going to go clock. And then if I hit enter, I can browse, and then countdown.php. And then I have a big number here. So the way this works is this is Unix time, and it's a time, how much time has elapsed. So if I keep on refreshing it, this number is going to keep on changing since January 1st, 1970. And that's just the way that the time works. So time is basically giving me how many seconds is from January 1st, 1970 to now, and then that's this number. So what I want to do is I'm going to take this clock countdown and I'm going to add that into this countdown. So I'm going to go to my home page, I'm going to come back over here, I'm going to go inside my includes, and I've got my navigation. And I'm going to go to /clock /countdown. I'm going to save that. So now I've got my home page, I've got my loops, home page, countdown, loops. Okay. So now I'm gonna work on this a little bit more. So I can close my nav down, I can close my template down, and I'm back in here. Alright, so instead of doing a block style comment, I'm just gonna do a // and I'm just gonna make a comment here of current time. And then what I want to do is I want to make another comment. I'm just going to call this Burning Man time. So I need a future date. I need a future time. So I'm just going to say $, Burning Man. And then what I need to do is I need to set this up as a date, and I need to actually make this a future. So I'm going to use a function called makeTime. It's mkt makeTime. And there's a lot of different things I can do here. I've got minutes, seconds, month. All right, so let's just say I want to be there by noon. All right, so I'm going to say 12. I don't care about my minutes. I don't care about my seconds. All right, my month. All right, so I said August, so I'm going to want to put an 8 in there. And then the day, I'm going to be there by the 25th, August 25th. And then the year is going to be 2020. So I'm just going to, instead of now, I'm going to put Burning Man in there. Okay, so this is the current time. It's going to open up Notepad. All right, so that's the current time, and I'm going to refresh it. That's Burning Man time. So as you can see, the Burning Man time is a larger number of seconds than the current time, which makes sense because it's in the future. So that's the future date. What I want to do is I want to know what's the difference between these two dates, these two numbers. I need that number. So I'm going to want to subtract the larger number, the smaller number from the larger number. And then I want to get my amount of seconds in between that. So then I'm going to come back over here. how many seconds are between now and then. So that's really what I want to get. Okay, so, and I'm just going to call this thing $seconds. All right, so got my Burning Man, and then I'm going to subtract now from Burning Man. And then I'm just going to print that out. I'm going to save that. And then I'm going to refresh. It's not a negative, so I did the math right. So if I were to subtract these two numbers, I would get that number. All right, and just to prove that is true, well, it'll be off a couple of seconds, but however many seconds it took me to write that. So here's my Burning Man time. And then I'm going to subtract my current time. Hit enter. So roughly, you can see that that's how many seconds are in between those two events. So now I need to start to actually format this out, all right? So let's start with my years. All right, so in order to get the years, I know how many seconds are in a year, right? And I've got a big pool of seconds here that's going to have all of the years in there. So in order to do that, what I really need to do is I need to divide that number by seconds per year, this number, and that will tell me how many years it will be until I can go. Okay, so 3.98. So if you take a look at my clock here, I just missed this year's, all right? So 16 is done, 17, 18, 19, and then I've got that 2020. So really, I've got 3 years, 11 months, and so many days and so forth. So I mean, we're getting how many years it is. A 16, 17, 18, 19, and then some change would pop me up to 20. So I need to get this solid. I only want it to be 3 years. So in order to get it to round, I don't want to round it because it would round up. 4 years is wrong because I missed it this year. So I really need the 3 years. So I need to round down. So that's floor. So I'm just going to floor this. I'm passing that math equation inside the floor function. So it's going to do the math operation, and then it's going to round it down. So now it's going to be 3 years. So I'm going to just refresh this. So 3 years. All right, so I'm happy with that. So what I want to do is I want to subtract 3 years of seconds out of the current seconds. So this pool of seconds needs to be deducted. I want to make that go down. So after the years, now I can start to deal with the next one, and that's like how many days. And as I'm sitting here, I'm realizing I missed a month, but that's okay. We don't need months. We'll just go with days. That'll be good enough. So my seconds, I need to take my seconds per year, and I need to multiply that by seconds per year. So I know how many, okay, so I know how many years it is. It's 3 years. And now I know how many seconds there are in a year. So I'm going to say multiply that by 3. So that's going to be how many seconds will be in 3 years. So I'm just going to wrap this in parentheses. Say do this first. And then when you're done with that, we are going to subtract that from my seconds. You have to give me 1 second to think this through. So my pool of seconds is really big because it's encapsulating 3 full years. And what I want to do is I need to remove 3 years of seconds out of it. So this is 3 years of seconds. So I'm removing 3 years of seconds out of my seconds, and now that number is going to be a lot less. So I'm going to do the same thing again, except for this time I'm going to do it in days. So now I want to know how many days I'm dealing with. So I'm going to go $ days. I'm going to go capital D so that way I'm consistent. And my days are going to be my seconds again, because now I removed all of the years out of it. So now I can just divide that straight by however many seconds are in a day. And I'm going to change this variable down here instead of years to days. So it should be around 360, I'm guessing, or somewhere in that area. So if I refresh this, 358.9, pretty close. All right, so now I know how many days it's going to be until the next event. So I can floor that again. Oops, not there, right here. Floor. So I'm going to round that down. I'm going to save that. I'm going to refresh that. 368. Okay, so now I want to remove 300 and I don't know why I'm saying 68. 358. I want to remove 358 seconds out of my big pool of seconds here. So now my seconds is going to be seconds minus my days. So there's 358 days. And I need to know how many seconds are in 1 day. So I need to multiply that by however many seconds are in a day. I got seconds per day. So that will remove all of the days out. So now my seconds are down to a lower level. All right, so after day, I have hours. So actually, I think this will work perfect. I think months would just be noise at this point because my days are good enough. All right, so I've got my days, and then I've got my hours. All right, so I'm going to take my seconds here. I removed all the days out of it, so now I can just divide that by my hours. Save that. All right, so 23, all right, so 0.9, all right, so pretty close to noon. Or midnight. Oh, noon. All right. I need to floor that again. So I'm rounding it down. So I'm getting rid of the decimal place and the 9. So basically that decimal place, 9 and all of that, what that's going to end up being is that's going to be my minutes and my seconds, you know, so that decimal place will eventually become minutes and seconds and so on. Okay, so I'm going to remove the hours out of my seconds. So I'm going to do the same thing here. So I've got hours. And the important thing to see is if this was greater than 24, we know there's 24 hours in a day. So if this was like 26 or something like that, we know we've got a problem. We know we're not subtracting something correctly because the days or the hours should never be over 24. Because once it's like 26, well, 24 of the 26 should have been removed out and put into a day, and the day should have been one higher. And then there should have been 2 here for hours, so that's the way that should have worked. So we're doing everything correctly. That's the important thing. All right, so I know my hours are 23, and I need to multiply that by however many seconds are in an hour. So I've got my seconds per hour. So the next thing I need to do is I need to break that 0.9 down into minutes. So I'm going to do another one here that's minutes. I'll make that consistent. And my minutes are going to be, again, my seconds divided by my seconds per minute. Copy this. I'm going to save that. Come back over here and I'm going to refresh this. So you can see that number's dropping. 55, 50, now I'm at 53. It's going down. Eventually that'll drop down to 52. My seconds are rolling down. Okay, so that's working. I just need to floor that again. Okay, so now I need to clean up my seconds again. So I'm going to have my minutes here, and then I need my seconds per minute here. You got to be careful when you copy and paste this. If you don't change the right thing, you can really cause yourself some problems. Okay, so I'm finally down to my seconds. So my minutes are right. So my seconds should just be my seconds. If I save that, I refresh this. So now I'm down to just straight seconds. So I just whittled this all the way down. So what I want to do is I want to make this actually look halfway decent. So here what I'm going to do is I'm just going to do like an H3 tag. And I'm going to say Burning Man Countdown. And then below that, I am going to I think I'm going to do probably just a P tag for now. Why I'm clicking stuff crazy here now. Okay, so in the P tag, okay, so the first one that I've got is I'm just going to type in years, colon, and then this is going to be my years. And then next to that, the next thing is going to be days, colon, and then I'm going to do my same variable here for days. Then I'm going to do hours, colon, and then after hours it's going to be minutes. Wow. And then my last one is going to be seconds. And then I got to change these variables. So my years is good, my days is my next one. Years, days, hours, minutes, and then seconds. So I'm going to save that. I'm going to refresh this. Wow, I screwed up seconds, tried a capital year. I don't know if I like how this is looking, but that's just aesthetics. I'm using a pipe that's right above your enter key with the shift. Save that. Refresh that. Yeah, that's a little bit better. All right, so my seconds are going. And my minutes, my hours. Okay, so I want you to do something similar to this. What I'd like you to do, instead of a countdown to Burning Man, I'd like you to count down to the end of the semester. So if you go into Blackboard, you can see what our final date is. The hours and minutes, I mean, it doesn't have to be exact. I'm not going to ding you. It's like, well, technically the class ended at 3 p.m. and you put noon. I don't care about that. As long as you get like your days and your hours, you're going to have to pull years out of there because you don't want that in the mix. You just want to know how many days are left in class, how many hours, how many minutes, and how many seconds. So anyways, hopefully you found this video helpful. All right.